All right, we're at the midway point of the Eagles season, so I think it's time to give out that mid report card grades for all the Eagles on our team. That's what we're doing. Mid-season report card. We also have the great Shane Haff joining us at about 8:45 a.m. to talk some Eagles. So stick around, hit the like button, share button. Trending in the AM is live with your thoughts, opinions, and comments in 30 seconds.
Fourth and goal.
And a very good morning, everybody, and welcome to Trending in the AM, right here on Philadelphia Sports Network. We're live, Facebook, YouTube. You know the drill. Hit those like, share, subscribe buttons, follow buttons. You know what the drill is. Do it. I've been telling you to do it all day, every day. We got lots happening today on the show, so I greatly appreciate each and everything we can do today. Get those comments in as well. I'm your host, Phil Stiefel. You can follow me on all social media platforms at Beard and Knowledge. Value. Okay. Did I go late or something? Are you upset with me? Court 12, call to order. Good morning, Will Smith. How you doing today? So anyway, guys, we got a jam-packed show today. Like I said, yesterday I was perusing through social media and I saw a couple reporters writing and handing out their mid-season grades for the Philadelphia Eagles players individually, as team as a whole. And I thought, you know what? That's a perfect way to end the bye week by sort of giving out some grades on different players. I mean, I went out and pretty much every single player on the team, I put a grade here down on a piece of paper. But I feel like it's a good time to go over some of the players this season, where they're at. Have they had a good season? Have they met expectations? Have they let us down? So the key today to the comment section is you guys giving me your thoughts and questions or comments and grades for any player on this team that you want to grade, whether it's somebody that's exceeded expectations or not lived up to them, or someone that's just you just want to grade somebody. Adam, good morning, happy bye week. It is a relax and watch football and chill out kind of weekend. Bye week is a good week, man. Just no pressure this week. And good morning, Jason. How you doing, my man? Mid-season grades. That's what we're doing today. That was an amazing game last night. Was it? If you watched last night's Thursday night football game, Bears versus Panthers, somebody won. I don't even know who, but I think it was definitely under 30 combined points. Oh man, brutal, brutal football game. It is the beard that binds us together. That is correct. Kenny Gainwell, good early touchdown. Um, Kenny Gainwell is one of the guys that's on my grade list here, and I think the running backs are interesting if you grade them. But I've got grades for Hurts, the running backs, all the wide receivers, offensive line, every single member of the secondary. I can't wait till Shane joins us at about 8:45 this morning. I want to get some specific players I want to bring up with him and some specific topics as well. Um, but grades, and it's really easy to grade the Eagles' offense, in my opinion, at this point. I know the turnovers have been there, and maybe that affects some of my grades. But for the most part, the Eagles' offense has been pretty darn consistent this year. Extensive interview, live Thursday night football with Kelsey, um, the good one. Yeah, okay. Again, I don't watch Thursday night football. I don't pay for Amazon Prime to watch Thursday night football. Um, Definitely did not watch any football last night. If Kelsey was on it, probably because they're promoting it was probably part of the package for his Eagles documentary, Kelsey, that he did through Amazon. So if he was on there, that's probably why he was out there on his bye week. Probably part of the package there for him. But you could give Jason Kelsey an A for the season. You can give a majority of the offensive line, Kelsey, Mailata, Lane Johnson, Landon Dickerson. You could give them A's, I guess. You could also make an argument that they don't all deserve A's, and it's really hard to tell, offensive line speaking, how who's to blame every single time that a pressure is given up on Jalen Hurts and whatnot. I just wrote down flat A's for everybody on the offensive line outside of Cam Jurgens, Sua, Payton, Jack Driscoll. That is where, when I saw Martin Frank from the Delaware News Journal give out his grades, that's where we first started to disagree, because he had Jack Driscoll, incomplete. He had Sua Opeta as like a B or a B plus, uh, and I can't give out those kind of grades. Cam Jurgens, I put a B grade this year only because he's missed time, because you could clearly tell that the offense has struggled since Cam Jurgens has gone down. Sua Opeta, I put it a C minus, and I've seen some people giving him Bs, and I can't do that. He was bad. Jack Driscoll, I could give him a D plus easily, easily a D plus at best. And not an incomplete or a C plus or whatever, because it was bad. Eagles are far from capable, he said. Will be better. Okay, that's good. Good morning, Duck. What's up? How you doing this morning? All right, so we're giving Mailata a B plus or A minus. Uh, Jordan Mailata is like PFF wise graded, I think, the top left tackle in football so far this year. But I don't buy that. I can get behind a B plus A minus. I just put a straight A for Kelsey Mailata, Lane, and Landon. But you can make an argument that Mailata is a B plus. There is no argument that Kelsey is anything but an A. Lane Johnson is A, but he's coming down from A plus. Yeah, the injuries, the constant missing time, you could do that as well there. But I think it's pretty easy and safe to say that the offensive line is one of the more consistent units on this team. Apeta is a C. Steen in his first showing, I guess you can give him an incomplete because it wasn't a lot, but you could definitely give him a C plus. Sua Opeta, I put a C minus. I just can't get behind Sua Opeta having done a good job, because the running game, once he took over, took a major, major hit. So, and whether it was all his fault or not, I don't know, but you could definitely see the correlation between the running game slowing down and him being out there. He said you best, but best football still to come. That's fine. That's great. He's not going to say anything on a live broadcast like that that's going to shock the world, man. Chatter. He's going to be professional. He's going to say the right things. You're not going to get anything really, really crazy from him. That's why him being on the broadcast really doesn't mean anything to me, because he's not really going to say anything special, or anything that's going to change anything. Um, I will say, I do want to, real quick, shout out happy birthday to the Marine Corps. I know Kyle's a big fan of the show, big supporter of all the work I done. I know he's a veteran of the Marine Corps. So shout out to the Marine Corps. Happy birthday to them. Tomorrow is Veterans Day. Shout out to all veterans that have served our country. Since we won't have a show tomorrow, I want to give them a shout out as well. I think I said it before the comment came up on the screen. I think I got you, Kyle. But thank you, and thank all for their service, and happy birthday to that Marine Corps. I give Jalen a B. Does it say plus from Adam? He is doing good this year. Adam, you're not looking at my notes. I have Jalen Hurts at a B plus as well. And the only reason why I don't have Jalen Hurts at an A is because of the turnovers. Uh, I, he's got to clean that up, obviously, and he didn't have any turnovers on against Dallas, which was a great improvement for him. But the turnovers are a problem. Um, the knee is a problem. You can't really change the grade because of the injury, but between the knee, between the turnovers, a B plus is a fair grade for Jalen Hurts at this point, for sure. Opeta running game isn't good, and his passing game is okay. Steen's run block was very good, but passing game wasn't good. Yeah, I mean, Shane Haff, who is coming on the show in a little bit, he does a lot of film breakdown, and he posts a lot of shorts on his, like, short, like 1 and 2 minute videos. And he did one on Tyler Steen, and he broke down a specific play that Steen got beat pretty bad by Micah Parsons. Now, Jalen Hurts completed the pass, but took a big hit. So Steen is definitely one of the guys that I'm going to be speaking with Shane more specifically about when he comes on the show in a little bit. The Marine Corps was created about a mile down the road from me. Well, that's pretty cool. AJ Brown, A plus 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 plus. I don't think we could put enough pluses next to AJ Brown's name. He is definitely an A plus this season, Adam, so far, without a doubt. Devontae Smith, I would grade him an A, uh, even though his numbers have come down a little bit this year. I still think he is an A player. The rest of the wide receiver core, that's where I don't know what to grade the rest of the Eagles wide receivers. Julio Jones hasn't been around much. Quez stinks. OZ doesn't get used much. I don't know. I just put like a question mark or an incomplete against the rest of the Eagles wide receiver core. Dallas Goddard, I only put a B even before him going down with another injury. I think he's had a few too many drops this year to really grade much higher. Phil is mistaken. What am I mistaken on? I don't know what I'm mistaken on. More Sixers. You want Sixers talk? Marshawn, I have an excellent Sixers question. I do. You want Sixers talk? Tell me. Tonight's a big test for the Sixers. Not exactly a test, a statement on what this Sixers team is. You go out and you get a big win against Boston. And then you've got the lowly Detroit Pistons tonight in Detroit. This would have been screaming Doc Rivers' scheduled loss. Does Nick Nurse get this team up for a meaningless game in Detroit tonight on a Friday and follow up a big win with another win in a game they should win? That's a question right there about the Sixers, Marshawn. And I'm really, really interested in tonight's game to see what happens with this team coming off that game. Are the Ravens that good? Everyone thinks they are the best team in the NFL. I don't know, Marshawn. I don't know. Uh, it's a hard question right there to answer. They did take out the Detroit Lions and the Seattle Seahawks and just smoke them. It's a they're fantastic defense. They're a well coached team. Lamar. They don't have many offensive weapons outside of Lamar, though. I don't know. They're scary. They're in my top four for sure. Um, we'll know. Give them a few more weeks to show their dominance, and then we might know. But they're definitely not the best. The Eagles are the only one. Good Kelsey content. Okay. All right. I guess so. Brown A plus, Smith B plus, A minus. The Chewis is a B when used. Watkins is an incomplete in my opinion, just because he's never being used. Julio has been a C plus in the few showings. Yeah, I guess I can get behind those grades there. Zachuis does a lot of little things. He blocks, etc. Watkins is useless, and Julio hasn't had an opportunity really to show, but he does have that big touchdown catch, so that's fine. Um, if these are the same Sixers team, we lose by 10 tonight. I truly believe they win by double digits, but we shall see. Yeah, exactly, and that's it. This is a different Sixers team, Marshawn. So that's why I have higher hopes for the Sixers team to come out tonight. Ravens have a dynamic offense which can put up big points. Defense is exceptional. Yeah, I mean, according to my poll, the Ravens are the team that most people fear the Eagles facing in the Super Bowl out of the Chiefs, Bengals, and Ravens. I still fear the Bengals a little bit more, but that's right now. The Ravens, damn good football team. Damn good football team. Lions and Seahawks are mid, though. I don't know if they're mid per se. They're playoff football teams. Both could win their divisions. They're not on the Super Bowl level like the Eagles are or the Ravens could be. But the Lions and Seahawks are really good football teams. I don't want to say they're mid or below average or anything like that. Panthers smart to move up 2 spots and trade Bears. DJ Moore in second round pick at first and for Bryce Young. Look, Bryce Young is not looking good so far. CJ Stroud is looking much better early on. Frank Reich, man, what happened to him? He was this hot name here in Philly. We lose him. Goes to the Colts. Now he's in Carolina. I just don't. Did we overrate Frank Reich as a coach? Maybe. Lions are a good team, but Seahawks definitely look mid right now. Eh, yeah, I mean, it's so hard for me to judge those teams because they don't have dynamic elite quarterbacks, but they're both well coached football teams. And if you don't go into a game with the Lions or Seahawks fully focused, you could lose, but they are beatable by a lot of teams. I don't know if that made sense, best abroad. Um, they're teams that can sneak up on you. They're not going to make any noise, though, but they're both trending sort of in the right direction, big picture, I guess. Um, I don't know. Yeah, ESPN Analytics rank us as I think it's the seventh best team in football, which is freaking pathetic. And they predict we lose the next 4 games. We're not losing the next 4 games. There is literally zero chance the Philadelphia Eagles lose the next 4 games. Zero chance. And why? I've said this before on this show plenty of times. Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni, the current formation of this team and leadership core, will never let this team lose more than 2 games in a row. They just won't do it. They will not let this team go down that many times in a row, let alone 4 times in a row. Hell, I don't. As long as this current Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni combo are here, we'll never have a 3-game losing streak, in my opinion. Never. So that's just my opinion. But ESPN Analytics has got us the seventh best team. Teams ahead of us that we have already beaten. It's pathetic. Their analytics are, that when they're writing their little algorithm to spit out their analytics, they say, please make sure you put the Eagles. I don't know how they type that in, but they type that in as low as possible, just to piss us all off. Lions game impressive, but after that, easy schedule for Ravens. Yeah, I haven't really dug into their schedule too much. Sixers are amazing, different team with just one trade. I would have never even guessed it. I don't watch basketball, but been watching the Sixers. They're just a different. It just goes to show, what a coach can do for the culture and confidence of a team and a fan base. We got that with Nick Sirianni, and now we got that with Nick Nurse and Rob Thompson as well with the Phillies. And you're starting to see it a little bit with the Flyers as well. Lamar is a playoff hardened though. Is he that bad in the playoffs? I mean, sometimes he's just hurt in the playoffs. Are we really going to call Lamar James Harden? That's pretty insulting. If I was if Lamar Jackson was watching right now, he'd be pretty insulted by that. But I don't know if you're wrong, Marshawn. I don't know. That's a tough one. Indy was a mad team, and Reich made them better, but just not good enough, mostly due to Carson. Um, Carolina is just a mess, and will take years to fix that crap show. Yeah, for sure. And they might have gone in with the wrong quarterback there with Bryce Young. Um, they might have needed to let him sit all year and learn, but they chose to throw him to the fire and throw him to the wolves. Eagles 1 or 2. D line way underachieving, but great skills. I think that's interesting there. That you're saying the defensive line is underachieving, and it's something when I was writing my grades that I could definitely think about a little bit there based off of what I wrote down. ESPN just want us to freak out in their comments section that with that bogus analytics. They do it every year. There was a point last year, like week 12 or 14, where they had like 4 teams ahead of us winning the NFC. I still got the graphic somewhere saved. I wonder if it's still in the. I think that was with a previous network, so it's not there. But yeah, I mean, they had us not even making the Super Bowl last year with a few, like not even a remote chance. It's just what they do. There's part of the algorithm of that analytics thing that says bump the whatever it says for the Eagles, bump them down a few just to piss people off. If by some witchcraft we don't get 1 seed, can the Eagles win on the road in the playoffs? Sure, they can. The Eagles could beat anybody in the playoffs. Playoffs? Um, the Eagles are a damn good football team. They're the best in the NFC. So I wouldn't be afraid to go to San Francisco or Detroit or Dallas in the playoffs. No. Plus our fans travel so well, it's kind of like a home game anyway. So I wouldn't be worried about it. I would be curious to see how the Eagles don't become the number 1 seed. That would be shocking. How they fall and like they would have to lose a lot of games not to be the number 1 seed. Won't lose 2 in a row. Phil said that stuff like it was in the Bible. You haven't had that schedule yet. Don't matter. This team is too well led to have letdowns 3 weeks in a row. The defensive rotation look way better under Nurse right now. Absolutely. The whole team's rotation looks better under Nick Nurse. But this is a big test because this is a game the Sixers would lose last year because they would take a day off. We just won a big game in Boston. We got to go to Detroit. Come on. Who cares? I'll be curious to see how they come out tonight. I will. ESPN probably has the Cowboys winning the next 4 games. Well, that's why they love Dallas. Well, they just love Dallas because Dallas sells. Dallas sells tickets. Dallas sells ads. Even though they haven't won a damn thing in a long time, Adam, they're still the team that draws in the most eyes. And I get what ESPN does and every mass media site does. It's all about the advertising dollars. And Dallas creates it. Bashing the Eagles creates it. So it makes sense. It does. For all we know, TMC is Josh Allen's burner account. That would be pretty hilarious. That would be. Lamar is Allen in the playoffs. No show. He's a no show. No show construction jobs. I am okay with ESPN underestimating us. They can underestimate for 3 to 4 Super Bowl runs for all I care. For sure. They can underestimate us. Are we overestimating ourselves? Maybe. I don't know. I don't think so. But yeah, that's what the analytics are always going to do. They're always going to put us down. All the big sites are always going to put us down because it sells. It does. Philly is a big city. Lots of hate clicks if you troll. Absolutely. If you watched the Flyers the year before Torts, then you would know how much of a huge change his culture built. Absolutely. I mean, I didn't watch a lot of Flyers. I kind of tuned out of the Flyers lately. But I could definitely see in the little I've watched, they're not a good hockey team yet, but they're definitely trending in the right direction, HC. Um, and it's all because when you have a coach that builds a culture, building a culture is just as important as wins and losses at the start of a new era. Now, Nick Nurse has luckily walked in to an already really good team, but changed the culture. Nick Sirianni had to slightly refresh this team, but the culture he built up right away. A new coach and new culture, it's a big deal. It is night and day. Dougie's team looking really good too. Yeah, I like the Jaguars. I thought I was a little overrating them after they lost an early game this season, but they won 4 or 5 weeks in a row. Jacksonville's a scary team in the playoffs. I don't know if they're ready to beat the Ravens, Bengals, or Chiefs in a playoff game yet, but they're going to win their division. They're going to have a home game in the playoffs. We'll see. We'll see. Um, Jacksonville looks solid and should be scary over the next few years. Yeah, that's the thing. They're building big picture. They're going to be scary big picture for sure. Nico Batum and Pat Bev really showing their value in the second unit. We're going to be hyped about Nicholas Batum just because he's part of the Harden trade. But I think what Pat Beverly is bringing so far is going extremely underrated through whatever 7 games or whatnot. Pat Beverly isn't going to score 20 points a game, but he's doing a lot of the nitty gritty. He's backup point guard, playing great defense. He's doing a lot. And a Pat Bev signing or addition is going to be one of those key things this year going forward for this team. Jags Niners going to be fun to watch this Sunday. I haven't even looked at it. We wait till the end of the show on Friday, then I look at the schedule. I haven't looked at any of the games yet. I have no idea who's playing yet this week. But if that's what it is, I can't wait to predict that one at the end of the show. Duck never won it. Doug fired. All the best to him in Jacksonville. Yeah, I mean, we'll never have hate towards Doug Peterson. Unless we faced him in a Super Bowl, we'll never have hate towards him because he won us our first Super Bowl. So, yeah, hate clicks is cash money. That's right, just like super chats are cash money to my pocket. Massive test for Dougie's team against a Niners team that has lost 3 in a row. Losing 3 in a row is a big deal. They're reeling. So that's big. Maybe that's the game I focus in on Sunday. Maybe. Flyers will never be a good hockey team due to the organization and how they have set up the farm teams. They don't even play the same schemes. How is that ever going to work? Now, I don't know about that nitty gritty detail there, but I mean, they're trending in the right direction. They're definitely exceeding expectations early on this season. Eagles are built tough more than most. Absolutely. Tobias Harris is playing great under Nick Nurse, and Maxey is unbelievable. All accurate statements, Adam. All 110% accurate statements here. Obviously, we know Maxey. I still want to see Maxey be more aggressive in the first 5 minutes of a basketball game. But Tobias Harris is great. He's playing really well. I am not trading Tobias Harris right now. Without a doubt, he is staying on my team. Um, I agree. I didn't want Dougie gone. I want all the best from him, unless they play the Eagles, and especially if they ever played the Eagles in the Super Bowl. Other than that, we're rooting for Dougie P. Always will. Pat Bev and Batum defend really close and tight. Saw a few instances where Pat Bev switched on Tatum and bodied him up close. Yeah, just the fact that we held not Pat, Tatum and Jalen Brown pretty much in lockdown on Wednesday night in that game. That was a pretty big deal. Our defense, does not hold those kind of players in check very often under the previous regime. Nick Nurse has got them playing really good defense. You don't see it on defense. I'll get back to this comment in a second. Last year under Doc Rivers, you always see, Jalen or Joel, like, where were you? Or somebody like a lot of confusion after plays on defense. You don't see that through 7 games. No one seems to be confused ever or anywhere um, on defense at this point. Hockey has evolved from playing a single scheme. There's a hybrid of schemes throughout the game, depending on the situation. It's too much hockey knowledge for me. Even if we met Dougie in the Super Bowl, it would be like last season with Andy. Much love for both of these coaches. Oh yeah, I mean, it's fine. I didn't want Andy to win another Super Bowl last year. I did not root or whatever, but I wouldn't say anything negative about him. I would say may the best team win, and hopefully that best team is the Eagles. Sunday is going to be fun watching games. I think the Cowboys play the Commanders. Yeah, I'm not sure there. Haven't really gone into the schedule yet. What do you guys do on a bye week? Good morning, Eric. How you doing? Flyers are building the team very well. Yes, they are. I agree. Um, it'll last for a decade. I hope so. Uh, this is a hockey town when the Flyers are good. One trade I would like to see at the deadline is a low maintenance point guard like Tyrus Jones or Malcolm Brogdon. Yes, I've seen a bunch of rumors on Laurie Markkinen from Utah, the guy I wanted in the offseason. Um, if the Flyers started playing a hybrid scheme system now, then maybe, but it hasn't worked for us. Bring up the kids. Um, okay, too much hockey talk going on today. When Batum full court pressed Jalen Brown and forced him to turn it over, I don't think I saw much of Brown for the rest of that game, for sure. Yo, Eric, core 12 fully assembled. Cowboys play the Giants. Go Giants. Yeah, go Giants. And Tommy DeVito starting for the Giants there this week. All right, all caught up on comments there. Guys, come on, 10 likes on YouTube right now. That's unacceptable. 4 likes on Facebook, guys. Hit that like button. Quick sip of coffee here as we continue on here. What do we got coming in here? More comments. Cowboys play the Giants. Yeah, we figured that out now, which is good. You know, the Cowboys coming off a heartbreaking defeat against the Eagles, then have to go to the Giants, and you got Tommy DeVito playing. They think it's going to be a cakewalk, but the Giants, even with all their train wreck of a season, have played some close football games. That would be interesting to see Dallas go down to, like, I've never really rooted for the Giants in a football game, and when it's like a Giants Cowboys game, I don't really root one way or another. But man, I might have to root for the Giants pretty hard on Sunday. No marketing for me. I like the team. I like the team the way it is. I'm just bringing up what the rumor mill is. I thought Laurie marketing back when we were going to trade Tobias or thought about it was a good idea. Um, that stretch four, I think that Joel Embiid needs. But yeah, I'm not trading anybody right now. Click that like button. That's right. That is right. I like it. I like it. Embiid, Maxi, Oubre, Harris, Bev are all untouchable at the moment. Everybody's untouchable. I'm not trading anybody on the Sixers right now. Not at all. What about the rumors of Nikki C? I know I'm not fond of the Nick Castellanos trade rumors right now, Adam. I would try to find a way to move on from Kyle Schwarber before Nick Castellanos. Um, there's lots of rumors floating around with the Phillies. I saw a post on Twitter this morning. It really annoyed the hell out of me. It's like some national baseball site posted the projected roster of the Phillies in 2027. I'm like, what the hell are we worried about the 2027 roster for? That is not 1 year away, 2 years. That's 3 seasons away, 4 seasons away. Like, why are sites worried about 2027? Get out of here with that. Matt Barkley. Is Matt Barkley still in the NFL? I would be shocked, but not shocked if he was. I want the New York Giants to beat them. Of course, we got to root for the anti-Cowboys this week, without a doubt. Beard Bros. That's right. We can all be Beard Bros. Eric, I would send all the picks we get for Harden if it means getting Bridges back. Yeah, yeah. Thank you, thank you. The uncanny core 12. That's a different one right there. They're playing the kids: Forrester, Tippett, Zamul, Kate, Hart. Yeah, blah 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 blah. All under 25. Look, I'm not complaining about the Flyers. I've watched more Flyers hockey already this year than I did the last 2 years combined, which is not saying much, but um, they're what they are. Giants are going to win, Phil, and I want my free pizza. Why do you get a free pizza? Like, what did you do to get a free pizza? I'm not sure what you deserve it for. Oh yeah, I forgot Bobby Brink. Okay, Castellano's contract is easier to move than Schwarber. They both only have 2 years left on their contract. But I just don't understand why everybody is so ready to move on from Castellanos at this point. But also, if you move on from Schwarber, you could bring back maybe Reese Hoskins at a cheaper price, and he could DH like Schwarber does, but also fill in at first base when Harper needs a break at first base. Um, that would be kind of the reason why I would try to move on from Schwarber. I really thought Schwarber, if you make a move with a team and they need an offensive player, would be a guy that would be attractive to somebody somewhere. 3 years go fast, dude. 3 years could go fast. 3 years could go slow too. Giants active roster, Phil. He is. Matt Barkley is on the active roster of the Giants. Man, that guy just doesn't. He's like the new Colt McCoy. He just never goes away. I don't get it. Um, I don't get it. Casty looked like Tobias in the biggest games for 2 years in a row. Yes, he did come up small in the NLCS this year. I know, but he was a big part of the offense all year long. Look at this. You guys are bringing. I have a football topic, and you guys are bringing basketball and hockey and baseball into the conversation. I love it, guys. I love it. Love it. That was all laid out on the Liquid Swords album. I don't even know what that is. I don't know what Liquid Swords are at all. Matt Barkley got an injury settlement from the Bills, and now he is gone. So Adam says he's gone. Man, Chatter says he's not on he's on the Giants roster. I don't know. Excuse me. But yeah, I mean, Matt Barkley, terrible, terrible quarterback. Terrible quarterback that's lived in the NFL for far, far, far too long. But anyway, back to it here. So we kind of ballparked our way through some grades of this Eagles offense through the first part of this show. And yes, we are waiting for my man Shane Haff to join us here in a few minutes here. But I got more comments coming in here on there before I even get onto the defensive side here. That's way too much. Maybe Springer, Korkmaz first, and maybe the swap is more than enough for Bridges. Look, we're not making any moves right now, guys, for the Sixers. I don't want the Sixers making any more moves. You need to give this core 12, 13, 14 man roster at least 30 games, 20, 30 games. See what they got. You've got to. We're not making any moves right now. And honestly, I've said it before and I'll say it again. I don't trust Daryl Morey making any of these moves right now. I don't. I don't want him making these moves. I don't trust him to make these moves. Hell, I'm not making any moves anyway till the offseason. I'm letting this play out as is. Giants better beat Dallas if they want to save Dabble's job. Yeah, I would never have thought Brian Dabble would be on the chopping block, but he very well could be. Thought he was going to be a great coach. I thought he was going to be great for the New York Giants. But man, that's crazy. What is up, Judd? How you doing? Remember when Barkley was supposed to be a top pick, then went back to college and got hurt? Then we drafted him, and people were saying best value at the time. Man, that's right. Chase Daniels is another one, man. Chase, who has made more money in their career than Chase Daniels, Matt Barkley, and what's Colt McCoy? Backups for 20 plus years in the NFL. Feels like they've been around for 20 plus years. It really does. Hurts Giants have Matt Barkley. Maybe I guess Mitchy Poo. Don't make any moves. Getting tired of it. It is nauseating following social media, Mitch, and all the armchair GMs for baseball, football, basketball that just say just like this because a trade machine says it works. It works. It's kind of annoying, honestly. I won't lie. I don't think that's enough to get Bridges, Eric, but if it was Howie making the deal, then it would be basically a couple 10th round draft picks, right, Marshawn? That's what Howie would get Bridges for. Look, I love Bridges. I do. It was still one of the worst trade day moves that the Sixers ever made. I just don't see it happening. I don't think it happens at all. No chance at all. Mitchy Poo. Exactly. You gotta say Mitchy Poo, man, chatter. How does Chase Daniels have a job? The most overpaid backup we ever had. Well, I mean, we also paid Matt Barkley to be a backup. We also paid a lot of bad backup quarterbacks. Um, Chase Daniels, man. Uh, it, was he the one? Was Chase Daniels the one that got the big payday based off of backing up Aaron Rodgers for like 2 games, like 37 years ago? Um, it's crazy that guy's been able to hang around and get a paycheck for so long. Howie is the lord of the fleece. That's right. I like that. I like that little play on words there. I agree with you, Phil. I definitely don't trust Morey to make a move. His evaluation is trash. If I'm an opposing GM, I definitely have Morey on speed dial for an annual fleecing. Yeah, Eric, I agree. I agree. Matt Flynn, that was another one, man. Ah, man. Howie should do trade talks for the Sixers. Howie should just basically run all the Philadelphia sports organizations, basically. I wouldn't have a problem with that. I don't think anybody would have a problem with that. That would work for me. Chase Daniels not in the league. We got a lot of misinformation coming through the comment section right now. Everybody's disagreeing on who's in the league and who's not in the league anymore. But who cares? There are a lot of guys that stay backup quarterback. It's an easy way to collect a paycheck for a long time, especially if you're the third string quarterback. Can you imagine collecting a paycheck to be a third string quarterback? Um, Howie should run the city of Philadelphia. That I mean, you might as well. Howie for let's just make him president of the United States. Our gas prices would go down. Our taxes would go down. I would assume. Matt Castle. Hey, he was a bad one. But he definitely married up, looks and skill set, Matt Castle. So, no, that was somebody else. No, I was thinking of Ponder. I'm thinking of Samantha Ponder. I'm thinking of never mind. Wrong person there. Hey, all Maury needs is NBA 2K and his PlayStation. Exactly. If it works in 2K, it works everywhere else. Brian Hoyer was still active not too long ago. I think he was actually active on a roster on like last Sunday or something like that, or a couple weeks ago maybe. Yeah, I mean Brian Hoyer, he only had a career because of one Mr. Bill Belichick. Is Mariota a bad backup? No, Adam. I think Marcus Mariota is a perfect backup for this team at this point. I'm okay with that. No, our taxes would not go down. Ticket prices are the proof of that. That's true. He is a businessman, for sure. I got you on that. Still active. Everybody, we're all over the place on who's active and who's not active right now. Jose, what's up? 9 games into the season, our defense coordinator cannot get the secondary straight. That is worrisome. It's a great segue to get back into the Eagles here and back into grading this defense and this team as we wait for Shane Haff to join us here in a few minutes. Um, yeah, the secondary is still a concern for me, Jose, without a doubt. Um, you know, Reed Blankenship has had up and down moments. James Bradbury and Darius Slay have had up and down moments. I can't wait. The first thing I'm going to ask Shane Haff is, can this defense continue to give up so many yards and then just be like the closer at the end of a game and come up big in the final 2 minutes? Is the current formula that they've been running going to work big picture and long term? And I don't know the answer to that. Um, Hoyer started against the Raiders last week. I know he started at some point this year. Didn't realize it was just last week. That's crazy. Mariota didn't look so good in the preseason games. He didn't, but he was playing with a lot of backups, some that aren't even in the league right now. Osweiler, man, Osweiler got paid a lot of money. Houston paid a lot of quarterbacks bad money, for sure. Um, Bobby Hoyen, talk about bad quarterbacks from the Eagles' history, man. That guy, man, I bought it in when they drafted him. Oh, this guy's gonna be it. This is the future of the Eagles. I bought into Bobby Hoyen. Eagles defensive backs and the nature of the scheme are the problem. It's player play than anything else, and the nature of the scheme are the problem. Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how sustainable the process is that the Eagles defense has been going through, and that's something I'm not sure about. Jimmy Clausen. Woo! He played for a few teams. He stuck around for a little while. Matt Schwab was another one that the Texans paid to. The Texans paid a lot of quarterbacks to be bad, or bad quarterbacks a lot of good money. However you want to look at that. We criticized the Eagles quarterback situation here for years now. But to think what some of the other teams around the league have had, I'll take Carson Wentz 100 times over than Matt Schwab or Clausen or any of these guys. Is Coy Detmer still a backup for the Cardinals? No, I don't think he is. But I mean, it's a good point. Um, trust the process, not the system. Yeah, I guess. Paxton Lynch. Oh, Denver, man. Taking him in the first round years back. That was it. Where did he go? Memphis, I believe. Man, we're morphing this show into bad backup quarterbacks. How can the Eagles fix getting beat over the middle on defense? I don't know if they can fix it, Adam. I don't. I think at this point the defense is what it is. I guess the best thing the Eagles can hope for is that the players just get more comfortable in the scheme. Maybe the defensive line gets home a little bit more often to protect the secondary. But there is a blueprint, quick passing against this team, and that this team is going to play off the line more than not. Vince Young. Kevin Cobb, I think, could have been a good quarterback if he didn't get that concussion. So I really think about that. All right, and it's time. We got our guest here in the I have no sponsor hotline here. My man, Shane Haff. He does not need any introduction. And even if I wanted to give him an introduction, it would take 30 minutes to explain all the things he does all over social media and YouTube. Good morning, Shane. How you doing?
Good morning, Phil. How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing good because this show has gone off the rails from minute one. I had a plan for the show, but we're talking bad backup quarterbacks throughout NFL history that have gotten overpaid, and there are some interesting names that have come up. Who is the worst backup quarterback that made far too much money in the NFL?
Ooh, man, that's a heck of a question
I'm
to come
going to give
into.
you some of these names: Paxton Lynch, Coy Detmer, Matt Schwab, Jimmy Clausen, Bobby Hoying, Brock Osweiler. These are just some of the names that have come up in just the last couple minutes here.
Brock Osweiler's a good one. He had like that. What was it? He played like 4 good games at the end of a season and then got a big contract, and then he got traded to the Browns or something like that for
something like that
to take on his salary. It was crazy.
The Texans paid so many bad backup quarterbacks major starter money back in the day. It makes us as Eagles fans, even before Jalen Hurts, just like we should appreciate our quarterback situations over the years so much more than we do.
Yeah, absolutely. Is Mark Sanchez? I mean,
Mark Sanchez has not been mentioned. Matt Barkley's been named a few times, but not Mark Sanchez. All right, so let's get into this Eagles team. Let's get to the nuts and bolts here. We've transitioned slightly to talking about the Eagles defense. And guys, if you're not following Shane Haff, he does a lot of great film breakdown. I love the short video forms that you do of plays and stuff like that, and breaking down individual performances. A lot of talk in the comment section right now about the Eagles secondary. And I know you're a little higher on Reed Blankenship than others. But before we get into each individual player, the first thing I want to ask you is, and I don't even know how to phrase it the right way. The Eagles defense has a very bend don't break style where they give up a lot of yards, a lot of points, a lot of everything in the beginning, middle of the game. And then at the end of the game, they come up big when it matters most. And that's kind of how they've won a few games lately. How sustainable is the style that the Eagles have been running where they're giving up a lot and then crunch time comes and then they lock down? Is it sustainable the way they're doing it?
You really don't want it to come down to the end of a game like it did in the Dallas game. And I know this is a defense segment, but the Dallas game doesn't get there if the offense doesn't go into a shell in the fourth quarter. So part of where the defense has had to come up clutch at the end of these games is the offense not being able to grind out drives the way that we saw them do last year. I mean, last year, the Eagles get the ball back with 8 minutes and a lead, game's over. And we haven't seen that yet this year. And we could get into why that is. But as far as the defensive side of the ball, I really think that a lot of people are getting Jonathan Gannon vibes from Sean Desai, I think. And I don't think that's warranted. The amount Jonathan Gannon just set and forget his whole team, just play it.
Mhm.
Sean Desai is doing so many different things
Mhm.
and they're not working, but he's doing different things. Like I can see the answers he's trying to give. And I think there's a lot of reasons that it's struggled so far. I mean, they've started like 15 different guys in the secondary, which is never ideal. They're on like their fourth nickel cornerback at this point because they lost Zach McPherson, who was their number 2 guy before the season. They lose Avonte Maddox early. They go sign Bradley Roby and he immediately gets hurt. And so what to do in the slot? Eli Ricks is playing this slot right now. I like
Mhm.
Eli Ricks. I told people way back in the preseason, Eli Ricks is not a slot cornerback. He's not agile enough for that. And so you're trying to cram a square peg into a round hole out of injuries. And so
Mhm.
I think as you get out of the bye, hopefully they can stay healthy and you'll start to see some improvements there, some of these miscommunications going away. At the end of the day, my major quibble with Desai is not having a dime package. The Eagles
Okay.
just don't run dime ever.
Mhm.
Dime, 6 defensive backs on the field. There were a couple key plays in the Cowboys game, including it wasn't the final play of the game, but the play where Josh Sweat gets the sack after the Cowboys' false start. The Cowboys brought out 10 personnel. Or excuse me, it was 1 personnel. No running backs, 1 tight end, 4 wide receivers. And the Eagles stayed in nickel. Now, the problem with that is you've got Zach Cunningham on Cavante Turpin in the slot. And Cavante Turpin that's not a fair assignment. That's
Right.
impossible. That's an impossible ask. He's just totally beat on the route. And fortunately, Josh Sweat gets pressure, or that's a touchdown, and the Eagles lose that game. There was another one in the game that was a 3rd and like 14. And Dallas went 10 personnel that time, 1 running back, no tight ends, 4 wide receivers. And the Eagles did the same thing. And this is the play that people were talking about where Zach Cunningham goes for that aggressive chuck on the receiver and he misses. It's a receiver. Like there's no reason to have 2 linebackers on the field on 3rd and long like that. Even if they were in 11 personnel, get a dime package. And
Mhm.
again, I wonder if that's injury related because they've shown they're comfortable playing both Sidney Brown
Mhm.
and Eli Ricks. I don't know why you don't put them both on the same field at the same time. So that's the biggest adjustment I want to see for Desai coming out of the bye is get a dime
Okay.
package put together.
So you mentioned a couple names and positions that I want to dive in, and I know I'm going to start with Ed Reed Blankenship, as he's known on this show. I know you're a fan of Ed Reed Blankenship, and if you had because the title of the show is grading midseason grades and all, Reed Blankenship has made some really big plays down the stretch of games, but he's also given up some big plays, in the guts of the game, in the middle of the game. Um, why are you so high on what Reed Blankenship has accomplished so far and how his play this year so far?
Well, Phil, I don't know if you know this, but approximately 71% of the earth is covered by water. The other 29% is covered by Reed Blankenship.
You
Now,
almost said Ed Reed, but you almost said Ed Reed Blankenship
I
there.
did. I did because it's right there on the screen. I think he's a really exciting player to watch. I put out it was one of the shorter all 22 videos I've done
Yeah.
because there was like 5 plays I wanted to talk about. But I put one of those up on my YouTube yesterday talking about 5 different plays of his. Now, he's up and down a bit. He is a UDFA in his 2nd season, and he didn't really start last year. I thought he was pretty bad in the Washington game. And
Mhm.
his interception in the Washington game, that was an overthrow. I mean, it's not like he was in the right spot. It's not like he made a great play jumping a route. That was just an overthrow and he caught it. So, and I'm not trying to discount that. I was saying the same things about like Chauncey Gardner-Johnson last year. Right place, right time a lot, not necessarily making great plays. I thought he bounced back in a big way this year, or excuse me, this week. I thought he played really well against Dallas. He ended up 2 different times isolated on CeeDee Lamb, the 3rd down on the first play of the game. And you could call a DPI there. CeeDee Lamb runs like a corner route, but he fakes that inside break, sort of that nod corner. And Reed bites a little bit, and I think he does a great job of committing DPI in a way that it won't get called, if we're being honest. Like watching him on
Okay.
film, you could call DPI, you're probably not. He kind of hooks him just enough to slow him down and get position and let's go. And I think that's a really good skill that you don't see a lot of cornerbacks have. And he covers it up He had another one where he was driving down from like 12 yards of depth. Lamb was running like a pivot route, and he dives and just barely tips the ball, and CD Lamb's unable to bring it in. I thought he was good on those plays. Obviously, he makes that goal line stop. He's such a savvy player for someone that's so young. And so I think if, he's able to stay healthy, stay around, stay in the scheme, I think he's going to be a lot of fun to watch over the next couple of years before he inevitably needs paid and the Eagles don't pay safeties and we go through that whole heartbreak again.
That's another whole subject for like 2-3 years from now, which is something I'm fighting with Phillies fans right now, because Phillies fans are talking about the 2027 roster and we're not even in the 2024 season yet. So we'll worry about that when that comes along. The rest of the secondary, not the young kids, Darius Slay and James Bradbury. They're under a lot of fire that they've gotten old, that they're a step behind where they were last year, and whatnot. There's a lot of things, and there's plenty of film showing them give up big plays. How much of James Bradbury and Darius Slay's kind of drop off is age related, and how much of it is just simply that the defensive line is not getting the sacks that they've gotten in years past? I always talk about this year that the Eagles are leading the league in almost sacks. Well, when you're almost getting a sack, that's leaving your cornerbacks exposed for those bigger plays. How much of it is that versus just those guys taking a step back in their, I guess, skill set to an extent?
Yeah, running it back with two 30-plus-year-old corners, never ideal. And I think James Bradbury's looked bad this year.
Okay.
Like, he's just looked bad. He's playing the way that he played when the Giants cut him right now. And hopefully he's able to figure that out. Like, I don't know. It seems like he's lost a bit of a step. And we know that cornerback play tends to not be sticky year to year.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly, Darius Slay, I think, is a little different. He's been up and down a little bit. Generally, I think Slay's been fine. It does feel
Did we lose him there? I think we might have lost Shane there, guys. Yeah, Shane, I think we lost you there. We'll see what happens there. If we could get him back here in a few seconds. I know, damn, I don't know what happened to him there. And as that's happened, my lawnmower guy is going by my house. So you guys can still hear me, right? Yes, I'm looking on my side screen. It looks like everything's still working outside of Shane there. We'll see what happens with Shane if we get him back here in a minute or two. We'll see what happens here. I can at least use this moment to catch up on some of these comments here. It's a shame. I really enjoy listening to Shane talk here. Oh, he's back. All right. There he is.
my computer crashed. I'm rebooting.
How is that what it is?
Yeah,
you look totally different without the camera on, without the computer on there.
Yeah, it's rebooting, but it takes it a minute after it does it. So I'm in the process.
It's all good. If you need a few minutes, you can take care of that. If not, we can keep talking here as is.
Yeah, no, we're good. So yeah, I was saying that Darius Slay, I feel like, has lost a bit of a step.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like he's responded to that pretty well. Like, he's become a little more physical player. You see him like coming downhill in the run game in ways you didn't see him doing earlier in his career. He does a little better job of like attacking receivers at the top of their route stems. So overall, I think he's been fine. And I know there's a lot of, why is he not following CD Lamb in the Cowboys game, which is a valid question. Like that beard. I think you don't see that as often anymore in today's NFL, like the true like shadow lockdown corner. It doesn't really exist anymore. I think they're doing that in key spots. You saw them do it in the fourth quarter, start to put him in the slot. I think another portion of it is that Slay's getting older. Like, I don't think he can keep up with CD Lamb for a whole game. And so you pick and choose your spots. Something I would like to see them do, because you're going to see this the rest of the season. Good teams know right now, put your best receiver in the slot against the Eagles and profit. I would like to see the Eagles start to do a little bit more of like what Bill Belichick used to do. Put Darius Slay on the number 2 guy and then devote 2 guys to the number 1 out of the slot. More bracket type coverages, things like that. If you put Slay on Lamb, is Lamb still going to have a 100-yard game? I mean, probably because he's by far their best receiver and he's going to win reps. But if you put Slay on, I don't know who you called Dallas's number 2 guy. I guess it was Jake Ferguson, and he's a tight end. But if you put Slay on Brandon Cooks, and all of a sudden you've got Bradbury and Reed Blankenship kind of doubling up CeeDee Lamb on a lot of plays. I think that's the way to play these teams that only have one main receiving threat, and so that's something I would like to see them look into. Coming out of the bye.
Obviously we had the Avonte Maddox injury early, Zach McPherson injured before, and now Braden Robbie, who you bring in, gets hurt right away. Are you confident that Robbie can fill in once he's back here after the bye? And if he's not the answer, and if he can't stay or get healthy, what other options are there? I mean, if Eli Ricks isn't really a slot corner, I don't know what's happened with Kellen Ringo. We haven't seen him. Sidney Brown, I mean, he's not really a slot corner, and he's been filling in. Is it really hinging on Braden Robbie being ready to go and staying healthy the rest of the season?
Yeah, you got to have a slot cornerback, and so you can put Roby in there. Roby was a street free agent for a reason. I mean, I was excited about the signing, and I think he's going to be able to fit in and give you something. But they've put Sidney Brown in the slot some. He played slot for like close to 400 snaps in college. He's more of like a box player, though. You could try to respond with some more like big nickel coverages where you put the third safety on the field but put him in the box. So there's some things that they could do. And at the end of the day, that's why last year is so frustrating to not walk away with the Super Bowl, because the Eagles were so remarkably healthy. And we've seen it this year. Like, it's been injury after injury after injury, and good teams overcome that. But you don't get a year that is just so injury-free so very often. And the Eagles had that last year and just weren't able to push the ball across the finish line.
Would you happen to say that maybe Howie, we've given Howie a lot of credit for building a pretty damn good team this year, but maybe kind of dropped the ball by not bringing in another cornerback option at the trade deadline that we just passed? Because, I mean, it's an obvious flaw and hole on this team that we have not fixed.
Yeah, I'm sure that there were calls made. It all comes down to who was available. Like Jalen Johnson from Chicago, he's a guy that is young, 24, that I really like. He ultimately doesn't get traded, and I'm sure the Bears wanted a lot of draft capital for a guy that's playing at a top 5, top 10 level. It's hard to know who was available. I would have liked to have seen a corner move, but at the same time, outside of Johnson, I can't really give you a name that's like, that's who I would have went to get. I know people talk about Patrick Surtain. I don't think there's any chance Denver was trading Patrick Surtain. Like, that's going to cost you.
If they did, it would have. I kept telling people that Patrick Surtain would have cost more than the Jalen Ramsey trade from a few years back. Like, it would have cost you multiple first-round picks, players, and it would have cost a lot, and that's unrealistic at this point.
Yeah.
All right, so you mentioned the linebackers a few minutes ago, and obviously Nakobe Dean is back on I'm assuming he's going back on IR. I don't know if it's been officially done yet or not. Nicholas Morrow and Zach Cunningham kind of feel like we're the better linebacker duo when Nakobe Dean was out the last time. How confident are you now that Nakobe Dean's kind of going away again, almost to an extent, and it's going to be up? We're switching back to the computer here.
Yeah, let's see if this works this time around.
There we go. We're back on the computer there. What are your thoughts now at this point with how the linebackers are lining up now that Nakobe Dean's back on IR, and thoughts on Nakobe Dean getting hurt again? There are people already calling for Nakobe Dean as a bust and time to move on from him at this point. So,
yeah, I think that's premature. I mean,
Absolutely
Nakobe Dean's played like, well, I don't know how many snaps he's played, but it's not very many. He played like 47 snaps, if I recall correctly, last year. Yeah. And I mean, he was always going to have some issues related to his size. And I don't know for sure if the injury is the same one as the same foot as it was earlier this year. But yeah, he's played. Let's see, if we exclude special teams, he played 47 snaps last year. And if we exclude special teams, he's played 182 snaps this year. So it's not like this is a guy that's played a lot. Like most rookies play more snaps than this in the first like 6 weeks of their career. So calling him a bust is crazy. Being worried about injuries is valid. I go back to like Jordan Hicks, though, who Jordan Hicks was injured off and on throughout his time in Philadelphia. And he was a really good linebacker. The Eagles ultimately let him walk because they don't pay linebackers. He hasn't missed a game since he left Philadelphia.
Mhm.
Unless you're talking like same injury reoccurring on the same, you keep blowing out the knee, whatever. I think we use words like injury prone when maybe that's not the best way to talk about it. I think some guys are just unfortunate with injuries. Is Nakobe Dean being small a problem potentially? Yeah. Does that cause him to fracture his foot? I don't think so. So,
Right.
Now a lot of people were really down on Nakobe Dean. On the film, I don't really know why. I thought he was fine. I mean, he looks a hair slower than like Zach Cunningham responding to the run or whatever. Zach Cunningham triggers downhill so fast. And he's again played less than 250 defensive snaps. So I still have hope for the guy. Not so much this year. I'd be surprised if we see him again this year, especially if it is that same foot. He was able to avoid surgery the last time. I'm not a doctor, but I would assume that it's less likely this time. So you go in with Nicholas Moreau and Zach Cunningham, which I think has been your best linebacker duo so far anyways. Cunningham is really good against the run. Like triggers downhill really hard. Huge plus in the run game. Good in the screen game because he's good at attacking downhill. Not the best guy in coverage. He's got some good reps. He's got some really bad reps. He's kind of an all or nothing guy because he wants to like check you into the shadow realm 2 yards off the line of scrimmage. And he's either going to do it or miss completely. And you never know which way that's going to go. So Eagles fans like aggressiveness. You should love Zach Cunningham. Nicholas Morrow, I think he's fine. I don't think he's coverage over the middle of the field is still going to be a problem with these two linebackers. And you're just going to have to live with that. They're not awful. There's just going to be some voids over the middle of the fields that teams can exploit.
All right, so we got some offensive questions coming in here because obviously offense sells. It's a passing league. It's an offensive league. So we got a couple different things. We'll get to Eric's Dallas Goedert comment in a second. Adam asking about the running games, how you feel about how the Eagles have been utilizing the running back so far this season. What are your thoughts on that from Adam?
Yeah, so I know Philadelphia is run the ball. Like Philly fans are run the ball and blitz more. Those are the two comments I get over and over and over and over and over.
Agreed.
Here's why the run game is not working right now. The Eagles are a shotgun team, and it's hard to be a good running team out of shotgun. Only two teams have really been able to pull it off. It's the Eagles and the Ravens. What do they have in common? They both have mobile quarterbacks, probably the top two mobile guys in the league that are able to threaten the edge. Without that, running out of shotgun is really hard. And, if you guys play Madden, you know this, right? Guy comes out in shotgun, running back's on the right. If it's a run play, it's going left. So we shift the line left, we crash the line left, and the run's dead, right? When you're under center, now you can go either direction. All of a sudden, there's a lot more angles. Your running back gets a head start, all those sorts of things. Well, with Jalen Hurts, a lot of people have talked about Cam Jurgens being out, being the reason the run game has not worked.
I've said that a lot.
And that's part of it. He's really good in the running game. They weaponize his athleticism next to Kelsey. But another piece of it that's not changing just because you plug Cam Jurgens back in is Jalen Hurts being a threat in the running game. We'll see what he looks like after the bye week with the bone bruise. Hopefully he's back to 100%. If he's not, he's probably not going to be this season. If he's unable to be a threat in the running game, running out of shotgun is hard. So you've seen the Eagles. Well, let's stop there. So why don't you get under center? Well, we saw him do it the first play of the third quarter and pick up like 6 yards and not do it again. But the Eagles just aren't an under center team.
Right.
Everything's different. Like it's not as simple as just going from 4 verticals and shotgun. Well, that's a bad pull. It's not as simple as going from dagger and shotgun to dagger, under center because your drop changes, the routes have to break differently, and the Eagles are just almost exclusively shotgun. So what you've seen them try to do is start using pistol more because pistol puts the running back behind the quarterback. Now you open up ambiguity. Which side are we going to run to? You get those angles a little better. Now they also haven't passed out of pistol. So that's the line you walk as a shotgun team is if all of a sudden your quarterback can't run, the run game gets really hard. Will the Eagles try to install some under center, some pistol things over the bye? Maybe. I certainly would. I'm not saying the Eagles are going to be under center 70% of the snaps, but they probably need to work that direction if Hurts isn't going to be able to run.
That would go to Eric's comment here. He wants to see Brian Johnson be more creative. Is it less about being creative and more about just opening up the offense to a few more different styles and philosophies like pistol or under center? Is that how Brian Johnson could be more creative with the run game?
Yeah, you could do that. The run game has been pretty simple. Like, they've run dart and counter and all these sort of things before. This year, it's pretty much inside zone, outside zone, split zone. Some of that probably relates to Cam Jurgens going out. It's harder to do all these things. Jeff Stoutland's your run game coordinator. Right. So if Stoutland isn't putting those concepts in, I'm assuming there's a really good reason for it. A lot of consternation at Brian Johnson for the run game. Jeff Stoutland's the one setting up the run game concepts. So, I trust those guys working together. And I think at this point, like, the Eagles haven't totally abandoned the run. I mean, I lost all my tabs when the computer crashed, but I don't remember what it was, but it was like 16 running back runs against Dallas, something like that. It's not like they just totally abandoned the run. The run just wasn't working. I'll pull it up here. It was more than that. Swift had 18 carries for 43 yards. Like, it just wasn't working. And
right.
So, Cam, it should be expected that it gets better after the bye because A, Cam Jurgens comes back. B, hopefully Jalen Hurts is healthy. And C, you've got a week to self-scout these things and hopefully try to flesh out a package for under center or pistol.
We're basically assuming Cam Jurgens is going to be back after the bye. Really quickly, because we don't have too much more time with you this morning. Thoughts on Tyler Steen last week against Dallas? I know you did. I saw the one video breakdown you did about him getting beat in pass protection by Micah Parsons there. But that to me kind of showed that, he's got flaws. He's a rookie and all, but there was still some real strong potential from what I saw from him, especially comparing him to how Sua Peta has done filling in for Cam Jurgens. Thoughts on Tyler Steen's first start as an NFL player last week?
I thought it went. It wasn't great, but I don't think it was a bad thing. Like, the Cowboys have a really good pass rush. They were making an effort to get Micah Parsons one-on-one with Tyler Steen, and that went about how you would expect it to. I think he's better in the run game than he is in the passing game. In the passing game, some of the issues I felt like were related to he's been a tackle in college, and he's been trained to be their backup tackle. I thought he was kicking too much in his sets like a tackle, less like a guard, like he's trying to play in all this space and he was getting beat inside. So I think Eagles fans should feel comfortable with Tyler Steen if he has to step in a backup guard role later this season. I think they should feel comfortable with him developing into a starting guard or tackle. I kind of think guard, but over the next year or two, there were positive signs there, and there's some reps that look really bad on tape. As Micah Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence, those guys are really good pass rushers.
Yeah, they're no slouches there, those guys at all. All right, so I know I saw somebody mentioning up above about Dallas Goedert and him being out. Smitty touches could increase. I've been in the camp that has been talking about. Obviously, he can't fill the role as a tight end blocking, but a lot of the Dallas Goedert routes going to Julio Jones, especially the routes off the line of scrimmage for Dallas Goedert. How do you see the Eagles filling in this Dallas Goedert injury, and how come the Eagles, when you talk Lane Johnson goes down, the Eagles have this awful record. Last year, Dallas Goedert missed 5 games. What were they, 5-0 during that time frame? How come they could fill in from Dallas Goedert so easily in this offense?
Because they have so many other good pass catchers. I forget. I I forget what these stats were. I put them out. It was last year sometime, but in those 5 games Dallas Goedert missed, the Eagles tight ends averaged like 12 yards a game.
Yeah, it was really bad.
And so they just didn't utilize tight. Yeah, here it is. Dallas Goedert missed 5 games last season. Eagles tight ends averaged 2.2 receptions for 23 yards per game. And that's from a team that loves to use their tight ends and run a lot of a 12 personnel. So the thing that you're going to miss with Goddard isn't so much his receiving ability, because you have Devonta Smith, you got Julio Jones. There's plenty of weapons on this team. You're really going to miss that dual threat because he is such a good run blocker. And that's not sexy to talk about. He is such a good run blocker. And when you can go 11 personnel and you can put him on the line and he could be running a route or he could be blocking a defensive end, that's so difficult to deal with. And the Eagles don't have, you can put Jack Stoll out there. He's not as good of a blocker as Goddard, but he's solid. Then you have no
This
receiving threat.
The new tight end, basically. His name's Aqua Bowman on this show. Albert O. I accidentally, I guess supposedly the day we traded for him, I pronounced his name Aqua Bowman somehow. I'm not sure. Nobody has pulled the video footage to prove it. But that is how we title Albert O on this show now. Everybody's been waiting to see Albert O, and will he come out there in this next week and make any of an impact?
Yeah, so last year, the week before the trade deadline, I did a segment on one of my shows talking about, we were doing stuff like, who could the Eagles least afford to lose to injury? My answer was Dallas Goedert. We were excluding Jalen Hurts, by the way, from that, but because that one's obvious. But my answer was Dallas Goedert, and my trade target was Albert O. That's who I wanted to go trade for. So I was thrilled when the Eagles brought him in. He's really athletic. He's tall. He can be a plus in your passing game. He's not a good blocker. Mm-hmm. Some of that in Denver, I think, were effort issues. He was just done in Denver, and who can blame him with Russell Wilson and Nathaniel Hackett last year? But there was a play or two last game where he missed a block. So the blocking's not just an effort thing. He's not generally a good blocker. I think you can use him in the passing game, and he's not going to be as good as Goddard in the passing game, but he'll be adequate. He's going to struggle to block. Jack Stoll is not going to be as good a blocker as Dallas Goedert, but he's adequate, but he's not going to be anything in the passing game. And that's the problem. You don't have that dual threat guy. So I'm excited to see what Alberto can do. Hopefully he can fill in. Hopefully Dallas Goedert is back for that next Dallas game. It looks like that's kind of the dividing line. They're saying 4 weeks. And if that's 4 weeks, you're back for Dallas. If it's 4 games, you're not back for Dallas. I guess we'll see if they put him on IR or not, but need Dallas Goedert back for sure.
Judd was back to the running backs, wants to know, will we ever see DeAndre Swift? I think I could rephrase the question, Judlin, to more of a, will we ever see the Eagles offense be an effective running attack like it was early in the season? I think Shane's already hit on that. That really determines on the knee of Jalen Hurts. And we have somebody else saying a bone bruise in that area will not heal up quickly. Yeah, you got to hope to lock up that number 1 seed. Thoughts on is it simply if Jalen's healthy, we might see the running attack as effective again and utilized like we did, or is this just not going to be not happen in the rest of the season?
No, I think you could see it. Obviously, it helps if Hurts is healthy, but Juergens back helps. I think that will open up more of the counter type runs. The zone running just doesn't work as well in today's NFL anymore. And it's harder to run these gap schemes when you're plugging in backups. And so you get the offensive line healthy. I think you can bring a little bit of that back. The running attack will never be as effective as it is when Jalen Hurts is able to run. But I do think they can get, I don't think they're going to be turning in these 180-yard performances, but I think you can get adequacy, which, by the way, as much as we're complaining about the running game, the Eagles running game over like the last 3 weeks is basically average in terms of NFL EPA and success rate. Like, we get so used to watching the Eagles, the average team in the NFL, this is what their running attack is. And it's really frustrating for us, but that's just kind of what's average. I think in a way we have unrealistic expectations because it's been so good for so long.
Does any of these problems that we talk about with the running game Does that have any effect on why this team has been so ineffective over the course of the season? We had a few. We did have the score on Sunday against Dallas. The red zone that's been a hot topic. That we don't have a great red zone offense right now. And it does seem when I watch them get into the red zone, what works and gets them the red zone, they kind of flip the script all of a sudden when they get to the red zone. Does that have to do with the injuries and on the offensive line and Jalen Hurts' knee? Or is Brian Johnson just struggling calling plays in the red zone?
So early in the year, it's twofold. There was some sketchy play calling. There was some bad luck in the red
Okay.
zone. I really think it's been a lot better recently.
Yeah, it has the last week or two gotten better for
Yeah,
sure.
you look at the Dallas game, they were 3 for 3. Over the last 3 weeks, they've scored a touchdown on 71.5% of their red zone trips, which on the season as a whole would rank second in the NFL. So I think early on there were some play calling issues. There was some small sample size playing in. I really almost to the point I'm not super scared of. I'm not really worried about the red zone anymore because it does seem like over the last 3 or 4 weeks they've started to figure out what works.
How would you grade the job of the new coordinators, Sean Desai and Brian Johnson at this point? If you had to put a grade on them, who's been more successful so far, and who's giving you the most confidence going forward so far? These two.
I would say Brian Johnson's been more successful.
Okay.
Granted, he's working with better talent. He's been more
Yes.
successful. I've got more confidence in the offense than I do the defense. However, I will say, like Sean Desai, I see what he's trying. Like I've seen and it's not like this didn't work last week, so we're going to
Mhm.
change it now. Like the Eagles run a lot of like cover 6, cover 8, cover 4 sort of stuff. They did not run that hardly at all against Dallas. They ran a ton of cover 1 man, a ton of cover 3 zone, 2 coverages they haven't run hardly at all this year. And they did it because of how the Cowboys were using Lamb. So I've seen Desai, he comes in week to week with totally opponent specific game plans. They haven't worked yet. There's a part of maybe he hasn't found the right buttons for this personnel group. There's also a bigger portion of that is this personnel group hasn't performed really well. So I put more of the issues on the defense with the secondary and the injuries, of course, right now than I really do on Desai. I do think Desai's a good coach that's going to figure it out.
I was going to wrap it up, but we got one more question coming in here from K1. Thoughts on the Penny Enigma? Let's see if Shane answers the same way I answer every single time that Penny gets brought up in the comments section. What's
I,
your thoughts on the Penny Enigma?
I'm going to tell you what I want to be true, but don't think is.
Okay.
When they signed Rashad Penny, I talked about how good of a running back Rashad Penny was when he's healthy and
Yeah.
that he doesn't stay healthy and that they should bubble wrap him and save him for December and January. I will
Okay. So
I will fall out of my chair laughing if they come out of the bye week against the Chiefs and they give Rashad Penny 15 carries from under center and he gets 100 yards. Like that would be the ultimate chess not checkers move.
yeah,
What I really think
that's not my answer.
what I really think is happening is that the injuries have probably just piled up and the cumulative effect of those injuries is now I'm basing this off of like 5 carries that I've seen him have all season, including the preseason. And he looked slow in the preseason. I thought his one run, well, he had 2 runs in this game. I thought that first run in this game, I thought it looked fine. I didn't think he looked slow, whatever. I wonder if he's just lost a step, and that's
Yeah.
why he hasn't been playing.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit that he's lost a step. And I always say they brought him in to be the guy and then said, oh, crap, DeAndre Swift's available too? All right, we'll take DeAndre Swift. And that just kind of bumped him down. I actually had him not making my initial 53-man roster to start this season for all those reasons put together. And I don't see why people are constantly worried. Like DeAndre Swift so far, knock on wood, been good. So let's not worry about Rashad Penny right now. We don't need Rashad Penny. All right, we're talking to Shane Haff here. Make sure you guys are following him. Shane Haff, NFL. I mean, I love all the videos you do. You do great work and stuff like that, especially the all 22 breakdowns. What does someone like you that just spends so much time breaking down all 22s and the Eagles games week in and week out, how do you handle the bye week? Are you going to be bored this weekend? Or what is your bye weekend go-to activity right now?
So I'll tell you what, this works out perfectly because
Okay.
the new Call of Duty game just dropped today, and it's leading right into the Eagles bye week. And I love video games. I rarely have time to play them during the NFL season. And I'll still have like my whole NFL podcast stuff. So I'm still going to be watching games Sunday, but I'm not going to be grinding all 22 film next week. So you can probably find me in some Call of Duty lobbies next week.
I love to see what other people do, whether they watch Red Zone, do they pick a game, they work on the honey to do list, like what people do during bye weeks. Me, I it's a day off for me, not just from work, from football. I just sit there. I don't even know what's on TV during the bye week. Sometimes I just like put it on and zone out. Sometimes.
Yeah, I watch a lot of NFL games, not to the degree I watch the Eagles, of course, live
Right.
tweeting the games with that analyst hat on, but I watch a lot of games just, to stay up on what's going on in the league so I can talk about the league as a whole. And
Hmm.
I will typically have like a game on the big screen that I'm most interested in. And then I'll have like another one on my phone that I'm kind of keeping an eye on, and I'll kind of bounce around. I watch a lot of condensed games on Monday to get ready for podcasts. But I mean, this weekend, you're
Are
going to
there
find,
any games this weekend you're excited for?
yeah, Browns Ravens is going to be a
Okay.
really interesting game in the
Yep.
noon slate. Also 49ers Jaguars. Like those will be the two games. 49ers Jaguars probably gets the big screen for me, but those will be the two games that are on my TV on Sunday.
Yeah, they're I think those two, and obviously Cowboys Giants because of the Cowboys and the Eagles and stuff like that will be big. But the 49ers Jags Browns Ravens games are so important, I think, because we've talked about this week a lot the teams that scare us the most. We're still trying to figure out what the 49ers are. And I ran a poll earlier this week about what team in the AFC scare Eagles fans the most, and almost 700 votes, almost 50% of those 700 votes went to the Ravens as being the team that scares Eagles fans the most, not the Chiefs, not the Bengals, not all these other teams. The Ravens scare a lot of people. So those two 1 o'clock games, it's kind of disappointing that they're both 1 o'clock games and
Yeah.
not a prime time game or game of the week kind of thing, because they're both like great matchups and great you know for the importance of what's going to go on the rest of the year in the NFL.
Well, they could have put one of those on Sunday Night Football, but they decided not to flex Aiden O'Connell versus Zach Wilson off Sunday Night Football. So just Zach Wilson on a night game for the second week in a row. I will not be watching. You could not pay me to watch that game. Bills Broncos on Monday night. Like, there's been a lot of good games this year. Man, the NFL has really dropped the ball
And
on
there's
their
so
flex
many good
scheduling.
games this week, except for on prime time this week. I mean,
Yeah.
it's pretty pathetic how the NFL didn't do that. I mean, they did have the game of the week last night, though, right? Panthers versus Bears. That was the game of the week right there.
Yeah, I mean, at least for that one, Thursday night football is going to be bad, even if it's good teams. So you might as well just put the bad teams there. I hate Thursday night football.
Yeah, I don't even watch Thursday night football unless it's the Eagles. Like I have not watched one Thursday night game this year. I refuse to pay for any streaming service to watch my teams. I just won't do. I won't do it. And I'm not
Yeah.
paying for Prime just for that. Not going to do it. Anyway, Shane, I appreciate your time this morning here as always. You're always great to bring on here. Do you have anything else dropping today? Any new shows or videos content dropping today?
I'm working on a Zach Cunningham video that
Okay.
hopefully I didn't lose any of it when my computer crashed. But
Oh,
my kids are out of school today, so that I won't get quite as much done. But I should have a Zach Cunningham video dropping at some point today. Uh, Next week, obviously, I won't have all 22, but I've gotten a lot of questions about like some of the stats and things that I post. So I
mhm.
am going to record a video and put it out next week, just walking through like all of the stats I use and what they mean and where to find them. So
That's actually a
people,
fantastic thing right there. Help explain some of that stuff. But anyway, I greatly appreciate your time this morning. Hopefully, your computer crash didn't lose any of your information, and can't wait to have you back on again soon, my man.
thanks, Phil. Anytime.
Thanks a lot, Shane. That was Shane Haff there on the I Have No Sponsor hotline. Again, if you're not following Shane at Shane Haff NFL, the amount of work that guy puts out there and the amount of content, it's intense. It really is. And he knows more about football in like one little pinky than I do. Period. Because that guy knows everything, man. It's great. I'm only concerned with the Chiefs. After the Dolphins, I'm not worried about the Ravens. Bengals look legit. Yes, I am worried about the Bengals a little bit. Um, I think they're definitely trending in the right direction. Yes, Shane does have a strong beard game. I know. Not as good as mine, but he's there. I didn't see this, Eric. Sorry, Shane. What adjustments would you like to see? the coordinators moving forward. We'll see. We'll see what kind of adjustments they make. This is the first bye week for Brian Johnson and Sean Desai. We'll see how they do. Real quick, I do want to run through this week's NFL slate with you guys, as we do every single week. Let me see. Let's go through this first. We got a really bad game in Germany. Colts versus Patriots. Colts are 2.5-point favorites. I am going to take the Patriots plus 2.5. Only reason why is because I picked up Mac Jones. I have Tua on bye in my PSN Fantasy Football League. I tried picking up other quarterbacks, and they all kept getting sniped from me. So I'm stuck with Mac Jones this week, so I'm going to pick the Patriots. It was either Mac Jones or Kenny Pickett this week or Aiden O'Connell. I went with Mac Jones. So we'll see how that goes, but I'll root for the Patriots just for that one reason. Then we got the Texans at the Bengals. Bengals 6.5-point favorites. We just mentioned them. I'm on the Bengals bandwagon. I'm taking the Bengals there. Saints at Vikings. Saints are 3-point favorites on the road. I'm going to take the Vikings there and the points, +3. I like what the Vikings are doing this year. I'm not a Saints fan. I don't think they're that good. You got Packers at Steelers. That's a terrible football game. Steelers are 3.5-point favorites. I guess we'll take the Steelers. Man, there are some bad football games outside of the two big games this week. Titans at Buccaneers, 2, 3, and 5 teams. That's a 1-point game. I don't know who to even take there. Yeah, I guess you take the Bucks -1. I guess 49ers at Jaguars, huge game. 49ers coming off the bye. Jaguars have won like 4 in a row, I believe it is. Um, I'm going to take the Jags in the 3 points, but I don't know, man. Maybe there's a little homerish in me picking that one there. Ravens are 6.5-point favorites against the Browns at home. I am going to take the Browns in the points, but I do think the Ravens win a close game there. Falcons first game on the 4 o'clock slate versus Cardinals. Falcons are 2-point favorites. I guess I'll take the Falcons there. I don't know. There are some bad football games. Lions at Chargers. Lions are favored by 3. It's a big test for the Lions there going to LA. I guess I'll take the Lions and the points there. I don't know. Giants at Cowboys. Cowboys are 17-point favorites. Oh, is that accurate? Giants are 7-point dogs. I'm taking the Giants +17. No doubt about it. There's no way I could do that. Seahawks Commanders. Seahawks are 6.5-point favorites. Yeah, we take them. I'm going back. The Cowboys are 17-point favorites. Holy crap. And then Jets at Raiders. Terrible football game. I guess I take I'm going to take the Jets +1. Why not? I'm about 60% accurate on these most weeks, but yeah. Terrible football games. Terrible, terrible, terrible. Yeah, Shane Beard was a wrestler. It would be Mark Henry during the Hall of Pain run. The Hall of Pain. I love that run there. Would you say the Bengals are trending in the AM? They are definitely trending upwards. Nice play on words right there. Guys, we got 19 likes on YouTube, 4 on Facebook. If you're still watching, hit that like button. Not a lot of conviction in these picks. These are some bad football games this week, K1. Like, is it just me? Or are there a lot of bad matchups this week? All this parity in the NFL, and there are some bad, bad, bad matchups. I picked up Bears running back, and he got me 17 points. So I guess Aaron Jones replacement. Yeah, I mean that was a good one right there. I tried. I don't have a backup quarterback, and this is the problem with having a backup cornerback in a 14-team league for Philadelphia Sports Network. Is that when you get to the bye week, your quarterback's bye week, which I am now, there are only so many options. And I tried to pick up a couple guys, and I kept getting sniped on them in the waiver wire. So it came down to whether I would take Aiden O'Connell, Kenny Pickett, or Mac Jones. And I figured I'd take Mac Jones, and I'll take the chance there. It's a perfect week to have bad football too, K1, because the Eagles are on bye. So you can literally just roll with whatever and just you can put it on the background. You can do other things. I have no idea what I'll do. I might not even turn football on Sunday. Oh, I probably will in the background, but it's a bad week of football. It's a really, really bad week of football falling on the Eagles bye week, and it's kind of great. Now I got to see if I can get a running back. Hubbard about to get punted like Baxter in Anchorman. Did he get hurt? Hubbard's the guy. I mean, somebody mentioned about Miles Sanders before in the comments, and we didn't get to it. Miles Sanders has been bad. Can you imagine giving Miles Sanders a 4-year, $26 million deal in Carolina and then already not using him? I haven't watched a single play. I don't know if Miles Sanders is washed or if Carolina is bad or they're just not. I don't know what's going on in Carolina, but that Carolina situation between Bryce Young, Frank Reich, everything going on there. Um, it's not trending in the right direction in the AM at all there. So let's start the wrap up process here. Again, special shout out to my man Shane Haff for joining us today to help us wrap up the bye week here of the Eagles. Next week we'll be back. We'll talk Sixers. We'll get started for the Chiefs game on Monday Night Football. There's lots of content next week coming your way right here on Trending in the AM. Make sure you're hitting that like button, that share button, that subscribe button. Get Levis or Mayfield. I don't know. I guess Baker Mayfield might have been on the list. I don't think Will Levis was on the list of available guys. Um, so yeah, and Mayfield stinks. Or not on. Yeah, I don't know. I don't. One of those names wasn't even available. One of them might have been. I went Mac Jones. Who cares? I'm in 5th place. I'm probably not gonna make the playoffs. I've already geared towards next year, with picking up extra 1st and 3rd and 4th round picks, for next year's draft, so I'm already over this year's fantasy football. But guys, let's wrap this up. Trending in the AM right here on Philadelphia Sports Network. I am Phil Stiefel. Have a fantastic weekend. Have a great day, and go Birds.